How come all of these are based on mistakes that I made?
I don't know.
I keep saying we. What mistakes have we made? And every story keeps coming back to something that I did.
Well, I don't know.
I'm noticing a pattern. Is anyone else noticing a pattern here? How these stories all keep coming back to something that I did wrong? Okay, I'm sure nothing changes no matter how much you traveled and how long you may have been at this. Even though I've had some really long trips and been at this for a while, you're still going to do silly things almost every day. And an example of mine and why it's just a little bit cool in here is when I parked this thing, it was 46 degrees inside. So I jumped out, ran in somewhere, checked my propane level, make sure it was still good. I jumped in, turned the furnace on in here, left for an hour, came back, looked at the temperature, and it was still 46 degrees in here. Because Dum Dum here forgot to turn the valve on to the propane. Everybody makes mistakes. So let's talk about some other mistakes that we've made on the road. Special guest, can you think of any mistakes we've made on the road?
Mistakes or goofs.
Mistakes, yes. What mistakes have...
We were camping in the other van.
The minivan.
The minivan. I'm thinking it might have been Louisiana. It was somewhere hot at night. Even at night it was really, really hot.
Right.
So we opened the windows, and we have our little fan on that runs off the little battery thing.
Right.
And then it's like, you know what? We're stupid. We have an air conditioner in this thing. We can turn the air conditioner on, let the engine run a while, because we were the only ones in this little campground.
This is true. I do remember this, and I don't know how many days that we went with me thinking, hey, I have this battery pack that will run this little fan all night, and we would park and be in the campground, whatever, and, you know, it's still 90 degrees, it seemed like, at 9 o'clock at night, and we hook up our little fan to our little battery pack to go to bed. And it was days before it occurred to me that we could have just started the van and let it run for 10 minutes with the air conditioner on up here and cooled the van down to a nice comfortable level, and then had our nice little fan blowing on us to keep us cool once we had the van cooled down. Sometimes you just completely miss the obvious, or at least I do from time to time.
That might have been the dumbest thing we've done. Well, maybe not. I don't know.
Give me more credit than that.
There's been so many.
I've not even peaked at the level of dumb things that I can come up with to do.
Other than going the wrong way.
Yeah, we won't talk about going the wrong way or getting lost. You know, these people don't have time to listen to those stories.
Okay.
You know, they have lives. They don't have hours to listen to all the mistakes that I've made, turning the wrong way, going down the wrong road. I will go to one. All right, here's another one. This came from way early in my life. When I first started driving, had nothing to do with vans, but does have to do with automobiles. I was a stickler for always walking around the car first thing in the morning and just checking the tires to make sure they were okay. You should do that anytime you're out camping, and man, you should always check tires before you pull out to go anywhere, because you never know when you can have a flat. But I know the first couple of years that I was a teenager and had a driver's license, I did this every single day except one. And the one day I didn't, I came out in the morning, jumped in my car to go to work, threw it in gear, pulled out into the highway, and rolled the tire completely off the rim. Destroyed the tire, destroyed the rim, because it was dead flat when I pulled out. Just one of those silly little things that happens in life, but is a good reminder for this stuff, because you don't want to do this when you're in a strange town, you're out 20 miles in the middle of nowhere in some state park, you know, you're off camping in Never Land somewhere, you don't want to do something that silly and be having to deal with changing a tire, especially on something this size. This is the bigger of the two vans I have. This thing weighs 3 tons. Right? It is not easy to get this thing up. And that's, by the way, that 3 tons is with all the tanks empty. So if you have all the tanks full, you're getting up close to another half ton or so just on water and gray water and black water. So you're dealing, and all the stuff that we have in it that we use for traveling. So you're talking about a lot of weight. This is not something you want to be changing a tire on in the middle of nowhere because you did something stupid like not check your tire levels the first thing in the morning before you take off somewhere. Oh, she must have thought of something.
I thought of one. When you're pulling out after you've parked for the night, remember to unplug your electrical cord.
Yes. If you're plugged into electric power, it is a really good idea to remember to unplug it before you pull out, which is something that I have brilliantly done. And I see people with a lot of different systems that are really plugged in hard to boxes and things. Luckily, the day I did it, I was plugged into an extension cord and had everything, just a normal extension cord, had things down, so didn't do any major damage. But if I had been plugged in straight with that giant 30 amp one straight into a big box somewhere, I probably would have done damage to my rig. I probably would have done damage to the electrical box. It could have gotten expensive. And miraculously, I did check the tires that day and went around and we checked everything else. But for some reason, something was aggravating me that day and I was in a hurry and I jumped in and pulled out just like that, still connected. And these are not mistakes that we made the first week we were out doing things. These are mistakes that we made after having done things over and over and over again and having a routine that, we were pretty confident in. So all I can say is, thank God I did not choose to be an airline pilot or something to where the checklist that I would have done would have been really important. And on that happy note, if you're wondering what to watch next, if you go down in the description or down in the comments, you'll see links to other videos that we've done on different topics, some on the minivan, some on this full-size van, some of me yakking away for something you may or may not care about, and some that are travel-related in some interesting places. And we'll see you next time.